fiat currency is their money, right? Fiat currency is their money, the money changers' money. The people that took God's money, hoarded it, kept it from the people, and then made their own money in order to steal the wealth from humanity. Hello YouTubers, Alaska Prepper here. Now ladies and gentlemen, I've told you in the past several times, and we've had this discussion a lot, that the dollar is losing its world hegemony. And because of that, your purchasing power will be affected, meaning that you're going to have to work more hours in order to purchase the same items. And how do you protect yourself? Well, I'm not a financial advisor, but you have to take it from a billionaire hedge fund manager. Why is it important that a billionaire hedge fund manager is coming out and saying you need to get gold, and in my opinion as well silver, in order to protect what you've already earned from the depreciation of the dollar as other countries shift away from using the dollar and using bilateral trading, or as the BRICS Plus nations are doing, developing a new currency that they can use within the Eastern countries. So ladies and gentlemen, don't take it from me, take it from a hedge fund manager, which these hedge fund managers, for example, if any of you have a financial advisor, ask them, should I invest in gold? And I'm saying invest here is because that's their language, right? I don't believe personally that gold or silver should be an investment. It's just a vehicle that will hold your purchasing power, because gold and silver for millennia have been real money and still is real money. And it is why, ladies and gentlemen, central banks all around the world had been accruing gold and silver for the last decade or so, and last year being a year where they accrued more gold and silver than any year all the way back to, I think it was 1960 or 1950. So if central banks are doing it, why do you think they're doing it? Because they can see what's coming. So shouldn't you at least do a little bit of your own research and figure out whether you ought to protect some of your wealth, some of those dollars that you actually labored for, so that in the future it won't turn into dust? Billionaire John Paulson says you need gold, not dollars, and I couldn't agree more. Now, before I get into this, let me tell you what my strategy is. Very simple. I don't have a 401k or an IRA. I got out of that a long time ago. However, I know that many people do. And if you take a look at the link in the description of my videos, I've got two companies that I partner with, one of them being ITM Trading and the other one being Gold Genesis, or Genesis Gold Group, excuse me. And they do this for a living. What they do is they help you. First, they educate you, and then they help you transfer whatever monies you have, or portion of monies that you have in a 401k or IRA, into real physical gold and silver. And why is it that this is important? Well, I'm going to tell you right now. Billionaire hedge fund manager John Paulson said you're better off owning gold than dollars. Why, ladies and gentlemen? That's the big question. And he says it very well, because he thinks that the dollar is set up for long-term depreciation as the world drifts towards de-dollarization. That's the same thing that Mr. or Dr. Charles Nenner said in his interview with Greg Hunter. I did a video on that as well. Charles Nenner said that gold is just now getting to the beginning of a multi-year, if not decadal, bull market. Meaning what? Not that gold is going to go up in value, but that the dollar is going to come down in value. Many people make the mistake of valuing gold and silver in terms of dollars or in terms of fiat currency, whereas when gold or silver's nominal price goes up or down, that is a direct reflection of the strength of that fiat currency that it is nominated in. All right, so you have to take a look at it that way. Whenever you count your gold or silver, if you have any, you don't count it in dollars, you count it in ounces. Paulson said the trend is toward de-dollarization, but it will take a while to happen. We have time to prepare, ladies and gentlemen. As I've stated in the past, this train is rolling towards a wall. Eventually, it will hit that wall. But the train sometimes goes faster, sometimes goes slower. So we do have time to prepare for this. I believe we have a lot of time to prepare for this. I don't think that the dollar is going to collapse overnight. I think that it's going to be a slow roll downhill, and then at about 90% of that slow roll downhill, it's going to be a very quick roll downhill, ladies and gentlemen. While the U.S. isn't the economic powerhouse it once was, it remains dominant in terms of reserves and trade. But other countries, particularly China, have undercut America's economic power. That is eroding the power of the once mighty greenback. And we can thank prior president, Mr. Bill Clinton, for that, by him enacting NAFTA into law and allowing the Chinese economy, a communist nation, to enter the World Trade Organization back in 2000. Other countries do not want to rely on the dollar as much as they have in the past, and I cannot blame them. I am a citizen of the United States of America. I love my country, I love my countrymen, but our government has let us down by doing what? By using the power that they had with the U.S. Federal Reserve note, i.e. the reserve currency of the world, in order to help, humanity, but instead to bully countries, to try to turn them into what they want them to be, instead of allowing them to have free will. And the U.S. also has an enormous deficit with the rest of the world in terms of trade and investment balances that used to be very positive, but now is very negative. And what he's saying is that we no longer have the ability, because of the size of government that we have. The government has grown so big that we don't have the ability to pay in as much in taxes as what the government spends on an annual basis. Therefore, the government has to have a deficit every single year just for it to stay afloat. It doesn't have to have a deficit because we pay in enough taxes for a government to run. However, the government is so corrupt, ladies and gentlemen, that it needs to create that deficit in order to be able to continue to buy votes. That points to the intermediate and long-term depreciation of the dollar versus other currencies. He also noted that the extraordinary amount of money printing by the Federal Reserve has also undercut faith in the US dollar. Countries know this. They just don't say it out loud because they're working on their exit plan. I remember Economic Ninja doing a video, and I think Financial Prepper here as well, not too long ago, about quiet quitting. Well, other countries are quiet quitting the dollar. They're not saying it out loud, but they're positioning themselves for a day when they will no longer rely and or have the need to use the dollar, ladies and gentlemen. And that is the day when we will need to have our personal reserves in precious metals. Again, because precious metals are real money. They're God's money, and that's what he put them here for, is for us to use for trade because it's honest money. Fiat currency is their money, right? Fiat currency is their money, the money changers' money. The people that took God's money, hoarded it, kept it from the people, and then made their own money in order to steal the wealth from humanity. The Fed balance sheet has exploded due to quantitative easing, which is just a polite way of saying money printing. And inflation is a result of quantitative easing. All right, inflation is when you add money to the economy, especially money that came out of nowhere that was not earned into existence, except printed into existence, which therefore results in your labor being stolen from you, ladies and gentlemen. If you had dollars and 9% inflation, this year you lost 9% of your money. Think about this. Money is your labor, right? Money is your labor. You exchange your labor for money so that you can buy stuff, all right, to sustain your standard of living. So all of those dollars that you earned, that you put in the bank, that you saved for later on, is a result of your labor. So if you lost 9% of the purchasing power of that money that you put in the bank, you effectively lost almost 10% of the labor that you expended putting into earning that money. Please understand that. That is the best way to understand it. That way you can understand that when they say inflation, it means the theft of your labor. When they say quantitative easing, it means the theft of your labor. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, don't put it in nominal terms. Put it in time. How much is 10% of your labor last year worth to you? If you worked on average 2,000 hours last year, and there was, let's say, 10% inflation, to put it in easy terms, then that means that the government stole from you 200 hours that you worked to earn that money, because now you can buy 200 hours less of stuff with the labor that you committed to earning those funds. And interest rates, he says, were nowhere close to compensating for that loss. Gold is rising again. It has been the reserve currency of the world for thousands of years, a legitimate alternative to holding the dollar or other paper currencies. There has been a significant increase in demand from central banks to replace dollars with gold, and we're just at the beginning of that trend. Gold will go up and the dollar will go down, so you'd be better off keeping your investment reserves in gold at this point. And let me just show you, ladies and gentlemen, how much gold central banks purchased last year throughout the world. Central banks closed out 2022 with reported net purchases of 28 tons of gold just in December, including large unreported purchases. This brought the total central bank gold buying in 2022 to 1,136 tons. That's about 40% of the entire world's production, right? The highest level of net purchases on record, dating back all the way to 1950, and the 13th straight year of net central bank gold purchases. So as the West is leeching off gold, the East is scooping it up. And to finish it off, ladies and gentlemen, I will leave, as I always do, the link to this article on a pinned comment here in the comments section of this video. So if you'd like to revisit it, you can. If you possess physical gold, you don't have to face this risk. You also have the potential for appreciation. And the reason for that is because gold and silver have been manipulated to the downside for so long that what I believe is that gold and silver is in an inverse bubble. So instead of a bubble being high, gold and silver is in an inverse bubble of its actual value. So think of gold and silver as far as value as if it were a beach ball that you are pressing down into the ocean. And the farther you go down, the faster that it's going to come up. So like I said, eventually when the dollar finally fails to be the world reserve currency, the first 90% is going to be a steady downturn, and then the last 10% or so is going to be going straight up. We are at the beginning of trends that are going to increase the demand for gold, and inflation and geopolitical tensions will determine the rate at which gold increases. Well, all you have to ask yourself, have inflation been good for the last several years? I don't think it has. Are geopolitical tensions getting any better? I don't think that they are. This year, gold will appreciate versus the dollar, and also over the next 3, 5, and 10-year basis. So ladies and gentlemen, the reason that I really wanted to go over this with you is because you have to understand this. I know that a lot of people say, you can't eat gold, you can't eat silver. That's 100% right, but you can't eat a dollar bill also. Gold and silver, just like the dollar, except not, is just a form of currency that you can exchange value with. However, the value in a gold coin, the value in a silver coin is within it. The labor, the capital, all of the things needed in order to procure that ounce of gold or that ounce of silver has already been expended, which means that the coin itself is valued at already what was expended to get that coin out. The labor is already stored in it. The energy is already stored in it. Whereas a dollar bill, there is no energy in there whatsoever unless it is stolen from the energy that you have expended for working that currency into existence. When the government prints currency, they did not work that currency into existence. When you get currency, or fiat dollars, whatever you want to call it, wherever you live, you had to earn that currency into existence. Right, ladies and gentlemen? So how does the government's money, the money that they print out of thin air, how does it get its value? It gets its value from your currencies being devalued, right? They just even out. Let me just go ahead and put it to you this way. Let's say that you have a tub of water, right? And you throw dollar bills in there, right? Dollar bills that you yourself have earned. And every time you get paid, you put your dollar bills in there, okay? But then the government comes out After, let's say, a year, that tub is half full of dollar bills that you got paid and you threw in there. The government comes out and they print the same amount of dollar bills that you earned that year that you put in the tub, and then they throw it in that tub as well. Now the tub is full. Well, now all of those dollars have the same purchasing power, but it's less because there's more, but it's leveled off. So that is why inflation is just a form of stealing your wealth without you really noticing it, unless it gets out of control like it has in the last couple of years or so. So protect yourself, ladies and gentlemen. Again, I'm not a financial advisor, but I can read, I can hear, I can see. And if you can read, if you can hear, you can see, then you should see what's been going on for the last several years, probably for your entire lifetimes if you're that old, all the way back from 1971 when they decoupled us from gold. That things have just been going up. Inflation has nowhere to go but up, ladies and gentlemen. So protect yourselves, do your research, all right? And then do what you think is best for you and your families, because it is you and your families in the end that will have to live with the consequences of the decisions that you make today. And some of you may say, well, this is not going to happen for 10 years, so I can wait a few years. Well, that's up to you. Again, you will live with the consequences of the decisions that you make today. Me, I think that slow and steady does win the race. I hope to God and I pray to God that I never have to use my gold and silver. I do not want to live in a world where I have no choice but to use my gold and silver, because I know that things have gone bad. I'd rather we fix the system that we have now, because we have a good system if we go back to being a republic, a constitutional republic, instead of the democracy that we've become. Let me go ahead and close off. Thank you very much for joining in. I hope that you do your own research, and I hope that you come to the realization that gold and silver will save your hind end and will keep you fed in the days that are ahead. God bless every one of you. God bless America. I'm Alaska Prepper. I'm out.